Hey there, how you doing? You having a good day? I certainly hope you are. Let me just get comfortable here. You get comfortable yourselves. So, by me, cough, 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 cough. Hi, I'm looking in the wrong place. I didn't look in there. So I'm Paul Murphy. Please introduce yourselves. Ah, lovely to meet you. Now introduce yourselves to each other. As you can hear, I'm having talking difficulties, so that's going to make this video a little bit more difficult than one would have anticipated or liked or cared for or thought about or bartered at the market. The camera is just not in the right place for where I want it to be. As I can't stand up anymore to make, let me just slide over here so I can see my beautiful daughter in the viewfinder. It's bad enough to stare at you. Hello again. As I can no longer stand up to make music videos or anything else, I've been trying to get my lyrics done as recital videos and uploading those, but I was packing up a parcel to my children this morning. Hi Dill, hi Em. If you're watching this, I'll blink when the bad words are coming up so you can turn off. And Dylan, there's a cherry pie or cherry crumble coming up to you in the box. For my children, Dill, this is, it's 3 weeks tomorrow, you will be 12-year-old. 12-year-old? I'm reverting into Somerset there, every 12-year-old, I tell you. You will be 12 years old in 21 days' time. So I was going to send my children this, which is the last remaining copy of my book called Paul Murphy's Extremely Unlikely History of the United Kingdom. Because Amazon cancelled me. What a strange world we live in where these days, someone just go, I don't like him, I don't like his email, cancel them, and, your entire life goes. And it's just some, I don't want to put anybody down, but, it's just some person sitting in, I don't know, Venezuela or whatever, with a chip on both shoulders going, yeah, I'm on minimum wage and, I've got nothing going on in my life and I haven't had a girlfriend for 3 years and I'm living off a stale pizza eating out of the box, and even the stray cats in the neighborhood don't come, but I can end your life. Cancel. It's a very strange thing, and the fact that Amazon go along with it, it's hard to appeal to a bot, really, and you just get on with these things. Anyway, with everything else that's going on in my, what the heck's going on here? So I'm going to try and do a little bit of recital for the Dylan, and if you can see this, I don't know if you can see that, Dill, but there we are, that's one of the earliest pictures of you, my darling son. So that will be, as I say, well, it'll be 11 years, I guess. What would you be there? A couple of months old. We'll just wait for the helicopters to go past. You know what? That won't happen. So, right. So this was volume 3 of my History of the World series. Can you hear them? So I wrote so much that I put the United Kingdom, which still exists as I'm making this in 2024. Should we just start anywhere? I don't know. I haven't read this in 2 years, Well, let's just go for the start. Dedicated to Dylan and Emily J. Love and respect, Daddy X. I wrote this in 2021. This is 3 years old now. So, I don't know what's going on with my hair. I just got the shower. It's burning like stink. So, I like this here. So, contents. It contains words. Oh, and some punctuation marks. Introduction. Hi, I'm Paul. And you are? Recap. This is book 3 of a series of 2. Yes, I know. Dyscalculia. It's got an asterisk. Dyscalculia, numbers dyslexia, is a specific and persistent difficulty in understanding numbers which can lead to a diverse range of difficulties with mathematics. Unless you are dyslexic, when it is Lord of the Vampires. I do apologise because my disease has spread to my mouth. It's difficult for me to speak, which is not going to make reciting a comedy book very easy. now, dead. Okay. Recap. Yes, I know, dyscalculia, possibly. Or I had so much material from this part that it was recommended that I add a bit more and make it a separate book. Hopefully you've got book 1 and 2. Do you? You mean things. Do you want to know something? This is a true story. When Amazon cancelled my account, I want to put a book of my paintings up, and they said, we're not having this, we're not having this. How dare you? And we do believe you're Irish. Cancel you. And they said, we've cancelled your account, you may not open a new Amazon account, you may not sell books on Amazon, and we are keeping all outstanding royalties. How is that not fair? I mean, you can see why Jeff Bezos is so rich, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, you know, Luigi Ponzi's lying up there going, geez, if only I thought of that. Let's get on with this. Hopefully you've got book 1 and 2. If not, here's the slightly rewritten introduction from the first instalment to lead you into this one. The Earth, care of outer space, near Cleethorpes. Earth is the 3rd planet from the Sun, although it might be vice versa. You know what, you can buy books 1 or 2. Let's just get into the actual book itself. First humans, and then the fun started. Albania to the Netherlands, all in book 1. New Zealand to Zaire, all in book 2. If you haven't read them yet, you don't know what you're missing. Well, you do, you're missing 2 books. You should buy them now, then all you'll be missing is some cash, although you will get lots of laughs in fair exchange. Turn your eyes to the page opposite, and you're off. United Kingdom. The United Kingdom consists of 4 countries, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. Rather like the Beatles, one thinks it is better than everybody else, one is very sarcastic, one likes to keep itself to itself, and one is there to make the tea. The nearby Isle of Man, Bailiwick of Guernsey and Bailiwick of Jersey are not part of the United Kingdom, being crown dependencies, and are only mentioned because the word Bailiwick is very funny. In addition, the Isle of Man is currently being sued under the Discrimination Act and will have to change its name soon to the Isle of Persons, whereupon the Animal Rights League will sue it to add "and fluffy little coochie woochie coos" to its name. The Isle of Man has pointed out that it is perfectly willing to change its name to the Isle of Woman, but then it will get paid 30% less and have to do all the UK's housework for free. Biting political satire there. The relationships among the countries of the UK have changed over time. Wales was annexed by the Kingdom of England under the Lords of Wales Act 1535 and 1542. Welsh, dead fowl, I don't know, I mean this is generous, I did research all this, so now if you're on a bus in Newcastle right now, say it out loud and see the looks you get. A treaty between England and Scotland resulted in 1707 in a unified Kingdom of Great Britain, which merged in 1801 with the United Kingdom. Oh, I'm getting all this wrong. Because I'm blasted blind as well, I'm afraid. My eyes, you don't want to know about this, but due to the neurological disorder, my eyes don't focus either. Can we take 5 here? Right. Shall we try that again? Let's. A treaty. A treaty between England and Scotland resulted in 1707 in a unified Kingdom of Great Britain, which merged in 1801 with the Kingdom of Ireland to form the United Kingdom with Great Britain and Ireland. 5/6 of Ireland seceded from the UK in 1922. Cleethorpes has been put up for tender 476 times, but there have been no takers. In the independence referendum of 2016, Scotland was offered full independence if it promised to take Cleethorpes with it, and promptly decided to stay with the UK. Great Britain, also known as Great Britain, G-R-A-T-E, for the way it gets on some countries' nerves. The term British Isles is the only ancient name for these islands to survive in general usage. Its first written appearance was by Pythias of Massalia in the 4th century BCE, who wrote, "Hi Mum, it's pissing down all day again here in the British Isles. Please send more underwear," in a letter home. Thanks to the high quality of the British Postal Service, the letter was delivered in 1937. The island of Britain was first inhabited by people who crossed over the land bridge from the European mainland. They immediately called themselves bloody foreigners and threw themselves out of the country. Three, three archaeological sites have yielded fossils of earlier Homo species. The earliest is Boxgrove at 500,000 years BP, probably Homo heidelbergensis. They immediately called themselves bloody homos and hounded themselves out of the country. There's a lot of political correct satire in here and now. There have also been discoveries at Swanscombe, 400,000 BP, very early Neanderthal, Pont-Newydd, a more evolved Neanderthal, dated 225,000, and Ascot, a more evolved Neanderthal with a silly hat on, dated 205,000, although that might have been the price tag. A further discovery of Neanderthal was thought to have been discovered in Gwent in 1986, but it turned out to be a coach trip from, and in brackets it says, insert name of place you had a really crap holiday to. Modern humans reached Britain by around 42,000 BP. Their first words were, bloody hell, look at the price of petrol. The island was unoccupied during the last glacial maximum between about 25,000 and 15,000 years ago, possibly because electricity prices were too high. This damn disease certainly takes all the fun out of it. Well, it ain't going to come back. I do apologise. I'm so sorry. The muscles are just gone, you see, so I'm losing all speech. The worst thing for an Irishman, huh? The island was... we might have to stop. The island was unoccupied during the last glacial maximum. So sorry. One more go. I'm not feeling so humorous right now. The island was unoccupied during the last glacial maximum between about 25,000 and 15,000 years ago, possibly because electricity prices were too high, possibly because someone had just invented an early form of hide-and-seek. Mr. Yog Tompkins III. I say, old bean, I've just come up with a whizzo new game. I'll go and hide somewhere, you count up to 100, and then you and the rest of the tribe come and find me. Mr. Derek Jorgensen. What's counting? Good thought, old chap. Okay, just wait a while, and then come look for me. I can see you now. What's the point? It'll be fun. There's nothing much else to do here, and I'm tired of playing Pass the Antelope. Well, what do we do when we find you? Well, you just sort of say, found you, and then we'll come back. Then what? I thought then one of you could go and hide, and we'll all go look for him, her, it. And how long does this palaver go on for then? Until we get bored with it. I'm bored with it now. We haven't started yet. I don't know how to leave things to the last minute. Oh well, anything to humour you. Off your fuck then. Sound of running, bushes parting, loud screams, loud splash. Oh shit, I've fallen in the lake. Oh, a clue. Off we go then, lads, lasses, whatevers. Sound of much running, many bushes parting, much loud screaming, many loud splashes, much drowning. Can't even turn the pages, my fingers don't work. People returned when the climate and exchange rate improved, around 11,600 BP, and made a point of learning how to swim. They did this by throwing a succession of unfortunate buggers into the ocean and watching which and how made it back ashore. Many years later, this idea was appropriated by the DHSS, Department of Heartless Soulful Skinflints, and used in their disability living allowance assessments. I know of that too well. 3 years I've been waiting for mobility allowance to be granted to me, even though I'm now reduced to crawling on the floor. True story. At this time, Britain and Ireland were joined to the continent, but the land bridge between them was cut around 11,000 years ago, possibly by rising sea levels, possibly by early Republicans. A large plain also existed between Britain and continental Europe. known as Doggerland, because all they had, known as Doggerland, because they all had sex out in the open. And this large plain probably lasted until around 5600 BC, when it was submerged, possibly by rising sea levels, possibly by early Brexiteers. It was good news for the peoples of the peninsula of Jutland, who went from having common mid-county caves to having highly desirable beachfront properties. It was less good news for the people west of them, who went from having highly desirable beachfront properties to having watery graves. Optimists to the end, they still tried to flog them on purplerocks.com. The warmer climate changed the Arctic environment to one of pine, birch and alder forest. The first branch of IKEA probably opened around this time. Lip readers will know. I was being a bit naughty then. Where do we get to? IKEA probably opened around then. As a consequence, this less open landscape was not conducive to the large herds of reindeer and wild horse that had previously sustained humans, and so they evolved into mountains. Yeah. These animals were replaced in people's diets by pig and less social animals such as elk, red deer, roe deer, wild boar and aurochs. The first branch of Iceland probably opened around this time. Farming of crops and the domestication of animals was adopted in Britain around 4500 BC because of the need for reliable food sources and for keeping the postman on his toes. Early animal domestication did not come easily during the Mesolithic, Neolithic transition. Take it from me, this looks a lot better on paper than it does the way I'm reading it to you. Here we go again. Mesolithic, Neolithic transition, ag-a-do. Honey, I've got a pet for you. What's a pet? It's an animal that we will domesticate and it will live in our hut with us and become like one of the family. And yet my mother has to sleep in a bog. Well, the bog's not too pleased about it either. Anyway, meet Rover. What is it? It's a bison. Ooh, isn't Miss Yarnans have one of those as well? No, he only likes girls. This is a bison, a large even-toed ungulate in the genus Bison within the subfamily Bovinae. Cute, isn't he? Not really. He takes up half the dwelling. He's eaten the wallpaper moss and he can't stop farting. So? Well, those are the reasons you make my mother sleep in the bog. You'll have to go. Get something smaller. The next day. How do you like our new pet, dearest? It's a fish. I know, cute, isn't he? I thought I could teach him how to do tricks and take him hunter-gathering with me. What tricks can a bloody fish do? Turning the page of the book. Well, he can play dead. He's been doing it for over an hour now. He's not very good at fetch yet. I tried throwing a stick and getting him to chase it all morning, but he wouldn't. Just lied there, not blinking. I tried to mix it up for him. I put a stick at the bottom of the yard and threw him at it, but still no interest. I think he may have ME. I think he may have rigor mortis. Tell you what, I'll just put him in the fire for 20 minutes, turning every 5 minutes to glaze him. Maybe that'll perk him up. Good idea. You are so caring and thoughtful, darling. And you're so freaking stupid. Beg pardon, darling? I said I love you, Snookums. Any more bright ideas for domestication? You know, in case this one doesn't work out like... The next day. Mr. N. Ag-a-do. Ta-da! What the fuck's that? It's a woolly rhinoceros. Colodonta antiquus. Cute, isn't he? I'd like him better if he wasn't eating my mother. I wouldn't. I don't wish to be critical, you dopey bastard, but isn't he a bit, impractical? In what way? Well, let's see. First, he's larger than the hut we live in. Second, he's done a poo in the corner so big you could ski down it. Third, he stinks like a soaking wet woolly rhinoceros on a hot day. So we've got your father for all that. I mean, look, you're a hunter-gatherer, right? Couldn't you domesticate something you could take to work and help you? I could take him to work with me. He's a bloody woolly rhinoceros. He's what you're supposed to be hunting. How dare you? I can have the RSFTPACTWR brackets CA on you for that. The what now? The Royal Society for the Protection Against Cruelty to Woolly Rhinoceroses, Colodonta antiquarius. He died of old age while you were saying that. Get the oven on. How are we doing for time here? 20 minutes. Okay, so we got 13 minutes left to go. I bet most of you already gone already, haven't you? I just got to readjust the jaw. Thank you. The Neolithic Revolution, which is not as good as the Beatles Revolution, even with remastering, introduced a more settled way of life and ultimately led to societies becoming divided into different groups of farmers, artisans and leaders, or farters. Forest clearances were undertaken to provide room for cereal cultivation and animal herds, although many wondered why they didn't just go to the empty clearings and save themselves a lot of work. Only a few actual settlement sites are known in Britain, as cave occupation was common at this time, although as it took longer to carve a cave out of a hill with a sheep's jawbone than it did to build an entire village, many wondered why they bothered. Double time after 8 hours was the answer. The construction of the earliest earthwork sites in Britain began during the early Neolithic, circa 4,400 BC to 3,300 BC. This is facts, boy, here all true. I did do a lot of research on these books. Why? I don't know. In the form of long barrows used for communal burial. Could do one of those myself. Mainly the people who died of exhaustion clearing forests and carving caves. Evidence of the use of cow's milk. That didn't make sense to me. Evidence of the use of cow's milk at this time comes from an analysis of pottery contents. This evidence consists of a rolled up note saying 2 pints today, please. I kept down the pages of the book. It was me. It's invalid. I am those days. Oh, come on. Thank you. During the later Neolithic, circa 2900 BC to 2200 BC, I'm so sorry, Joe's gone again. Talk amongst yourselves, will you, lads? And lasses. And helicopter pilots. During the later Neolithic, circa 2900 BC to 2200 BC, new enclosures called henges were built, along with stone rows. These include examples such as the famous sites of Stonehenge, Avebury and Silbury Hill, and the rather less famous sites of No Stonehenge, Shavebury, and Papier-Mâché Hill. Stonehenge. These we're into the sub-chapters now. Stonehenge, he says for the second time. With a bit more gravitas in his voice. Sometimes with a bit more voice in his gravitas. Stonehenge. There have been many theories for the formation of Stonehenge. These include, what does that say? Astrological. Thought to be a giant compass, as the North Stone points north and the others don't. It turned out to be no. Dear, I'm so sorry. I'm chuckling away here. Gotta think of Emma's face on a Sunday morning. I'll wipe the smile off mine. Right, here we go. Astrological. Thought to be a giant compass, as the North Stone points north, and the others don't. It turned out to be less than useful, as the designers forgot to label which one was the North Stone, and it took everybody 6 months to get home from the summer solstice, at which point they all had to turn around and trudge back for the winter solstice. Sacrificial. Having trudged sacrificial. Because the timing has gone completely, so it's only funny to me now. But anyway, sacrificial. Having trudged back, they kick the designers in the balls so hard they come out of their brains. Signpost. The co-op stone points straight at the co-op in Scratch Street, Salisbury. Too many S's for a man with a busted jaw. What's that say? Astronomical. It is thought to be a potent portent of potential happenings. You can tell I didn't write this when I was disabled. It was believed by ancients that if you stood under one of the loose stones, it was a sign that shortly you would have a bloody great big rock land on your head. Culinary. Some posit that Stonehenge is a giant cake tin, whilst a radical offshoot culinaristine group suggests that its layout shows the correct way to divide a pizza. If you can read all this in one go, it's quite funny. Dance. Many feel that it is a course to make a huge samba line much more interesting. A cinema. Ancient people would pay a fortune to sit in a freezing space and be fleeced for 2 cones of popcorn. How much for 2 cones of bloody popcorn? 3 fleeces. A rave venue. Once people had got there, they had raved. A place of human sacrifice, later known as doing a stand-up gig on Monday night at the Glasgow Empire. That's got an asterisk on it, so we have to go to the bottom of the page and read something in 8 point. Similar to the above sacrificial entry, but with a different punchline. Copyright 1,000 years later as the crow tiptoes. A urinal. Well, that's what every visitor for 4,000 years used it for until it was roped off in 1978. I went there once, actually, as a trivia, in case my children ever do watch this. And must have been about 66, 67 maybe. I don't know. No, it couldn't have been because I was in hospital all throughout those years. When did I come out of hospital? 67, I guess. 65, 67. Anyway, so I went there and there were some photographs and you could just climb over the stones in those days. Which is the only interesting thing about Stonehenge. It's like the #1 tourist attraction like in the country, and it's just, you just get there and it's just literally, it's a pile of rocks in a freezing cold field. That's it. Where do we get to? How am we doing for time here? 5 minutes left. Early documenters. Pythias of Massalia, ancient Greek. Oh God, I've even got it written in ancient Greek. How is that? Research and detail on a pile Mark Lewiston. Pythias of Massalia, ancient Greek, translates to man of many asses in his name, was a Greek geographer, explorer and assessor. Ding! From the Greek colony of Massalia, hence the of, who made a voyage of exploration to northwestern Europe in about 325 BC. But his description of it, widely known in antiquity... Oh, what's going on there? It's got 2 dots, but there's no following down the bottom there. Okay. Has not survived, but his description of it, widely known in antiquity, has not survived, which is what you get for writing it on your servant's butt in icing sugar. Hello, Anne. Only excerpts remain, quoted or paraphrased by later authors. Do you notice that save them? Most familiarly in Strabo's Geographica, Pliny's Natural History, and this book. And this book. I got it. So, here's his note. Have arrived in Britannici, where the locals have given me their traditional welcome and told me to fuck off back where I came from, but not until I've done their plumbing, built their houses, and cleaned their hospitals. The political satire in this book is just amazing, isn't it? The first known written use of the word Britain was Pythias's transliteration of the original Celtic term. I have visited Britannicae, and boy is she a hot little abbess. In his voyage, Pythias circumnavigated and visited a considerable part of Great Britain, and having considered these parts, he moved on to others. Many of them are thought to belong to a certain abbess. Diodorus, based on Pythias, reports that Britain is cold and subject to frosts, being too much subject to the bear, Ursa Major, rather than under the Arctic pole, as some translations say. Me, based on me, believe this is again a misinterpretation, and he actually said, met a woman called Ursa Major, got her bear, showed her the Arctic pole. Matron! Cue Benny Hill music. That's about all we can do before YouTube give me a copyright strike. Diodorus, based on Pythias yet again, says that, quote, the numerous population of natives live in thatched cottages, store their grain in subterranean caches, and bake bread from it. However, me, based on me yet again, believe this is a misreading of a post-it note upon which is written, memo to self, open a supermarket here, will make a fortune. Do if I go into fire insurance as well. Strabo relates, taking his text from Polybius, Pythias asserts that he explored in person the whole northern region of Europe as far as the end of the world. Me, based on me, but not verified by me, although I am willing to give me the benefit of the doubt, believes this is a misreading of the locals. Went up north, spoke foreign, got me head kicked in off the planet. Strabo reports that Pythias says he travelled over the whole of Britain that was accessible, by which he should have reported visit lasted less than half an hour. They just don't like foreigners in this country. Take it from me as a lifelong Irishman. Following this, he departs, and his record goes on to the Germanic tribes. Quote, off to Germania now. I'm sure they like foreigners. We must be nearly... I've only got a few seconds worth of tape left here. Tape's not tape, it's digital. The last centuries before the Roman invasion saw increasing sophistication in British life. People began wiping their noses on their own sleeves, and if they'd had a quick hand shandy whilst the missus was out, they no longer hid it under the front room carpet. Good manners, for which the British became famous, began to be used. Jagger, please may I rob you? Gorg, well, that's very kind of you to inquire. Might I demur? I do think perhaps not. Allow me to impale you on my spear. Oops, that's a trifle painful. I do apologise for bleeding all over you. Apology accepted. Give my regards to your brother. I dispatched him yesterday. Will do. Goodbye. Warmest to your lovely wife and family. Should we quit there? Yeah, I think we'll just quit there. About 100 BC, iron bars began to be used as currency, although as each one weighed 29 kilos, more in iron than anything you could buy, it plunged the country into its first recession. Okay, so we got up to page 21. Man, that was just like, that was harder than the Somme getting through that. Somme, sung blue, thank you so much for your patience if you made it all the way through to the end. Dylan and Emily, my wonderful children, you are of course contractually obliged to listen to everything Daddy says, reads, writes, records. I love you with all my heart and soul. I love you too in this world, and whatever day you read this.